So today we're talking about Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Copilot Co-work. This is a new step forward in how our AI supports day-to-day work. We did have the title of the session is called Now Live. Unfortunately, it's not now live. It was supposed to be May the 1st and has been pushed back. But we're hoping the next few weeks it should be live. It is available in the Microsoft Frontier program, which some of you could opt for. We're using it internally, and Katerina and Microsoft's using it as well. And that is basically like their sort of testing platform as well, their testing program. So some people can opt for that as well. But yeah, it should be live in the next few weeks from Microsoft. Just a quick intro. My name is Adam Graham, and I'm from Qlic IT, and I'm going to be joined by Katerina from Microsoft. And between us, we'll walk you through what's actually changed, a bit about Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft Copilot Chat, Microsoft Copilot 365, and then I'll be going through Microsoft Copilot Co-work. So hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Hopefully the screen share is working, and I'll hand it over to Katerina to do the initial bits on Copilot and Copilot Chat.
Hi everyone, welcome once again, and Adam, thank you for the intro. So I'm leading the modern work and security in EMEA Elevate team, and today I will share what we currently have in the Copilot family, as well as the scenarios you can pilot right away. I'm aware that the pace we're moving with new updates and innovations can be overwhelming. So hope you will walk out with a clear picture of where AI fits into your work, in your teams, in your organization. And I'm often hearing comparisons between different AI tools like the Copilot, Perplexity, Claude, and some others. And this is another thing that I would like you to walk away with. Microsoft is primarily a platform, and it's primarily an ecosystem where actually we facilitate, host, and integrate different AI tools and services rather than being a single AI tool itself. And I would like you to remember this when you hear about the comparisons between different AI tools. Just let me shortly walk you through Elevate, the team I'm working in, and how we evolved. You most probably heard that last year our name was Tech for Social Impact. Now we moved to Microsoft Elevate because it's a broader initiative to help organizations to accelerate AI and modern workplace transformation. And this builds on more than 50 years of helping people and organizations benefit from technology. Over past 8 years, we developed a sustainable model to support nonprofits through combination of the technology, skilling, continued investment. And now moving to Elevate, we are actually extending the same approach to education sector to K-12 organizations. We will continue to reinvest in the ecosystem. Our plans are to have where we committed over $4 billion globally over the next 5 years in discounts for the nonprofits in AI and in cloud technology. But at the same time, we are recognizing that technology itself is not enough, and skilling is crucial. Therefore, we're aiming to help 20 million people build AI skills to succeed in this new economy, where Copilot helps across your organization. So one of the most common questions I hear from our customers is, where do we even start? And the honest answer is almost everywhere. So whether your biggest bottleneck is chasing grants, onboarding new volunteers, or just keeping up with the donor communication, there is a use case. And what I find most powerful is the compounding effect. So where your fundraising team saves time on proposals, that ripples into faster program launches and better reporting. And think of this less as a tool for one department and maybe more as a way to give away every team a few extra hours back to focus on something that really needs a human judgment and empathy. The reason I start here is because the fundraising ROI is the most tangible way to show your board that AI investment pays for itself. And in this example on the screen, we're looking at the modest scenario. Is just a 10% reduction in fundraising costs and a 5% lift in the donor engagement. But that alone moves ROI from 233 to 290. And what it really means is your team spends less time on repetitive tasks like prospect research, maybe grant formatting, and more time building a genuine donor relationship. I've seen organizations hit these numbers with a single fundraising cycle. So this is not a long-term or 5-year aspiration. It is something that could be achievable in a month. Now, yeah, fundraising maybe gets the headlines, but the program impact is really why you exist as an organization. So the challenge that most nonprofits face, and this is what they've been telling us, is the measuring impact. And that sometimes really takes almost as much effort as delivering the programs itself. We've seen customers buried in the spreadsheets, manually tracking outcomes and writing reports. And what AI does here is to collapse that feedback loop. So instead of waiting until end of quarters to spot a problem, you can catch it in the real time and of course correct. And the organizations doing this well are actually the ones that start by defining clear, measurable goals for each program. And I'd say that AI here amplifies good measurement habits. It really does not replace them. Here is something that doesn't get enough attention, I think, the cost of losing a volunteer. By some estimates, replacing a trained volunteer costs 3 to 5 times more than keeping one. So retention isn't just a feel-good metric. It directly affects your capacity to deliver the programs. And what AI brings to the table is the ability to spot disengagement early, before someone quietly disappears. And maybe their response time slowing, or they've skipped last 2 events or the meetings. The satisfaction score and the NPSA metrics you see here on the slide are basically leading indicators, because by the time you're measuring actual retention rates, it's often too late to intervene. Now I know this one can be a sensitive topic, and there's always a pressure to keep overhead ratios low. The good news is that AI is uniquely effective at reducing administrative burden without cutting corners. Think about how much time your finance team, for instance, spends on data entry, invoice processing, compliance documentation. In the example here on this case, going 20 to 70% overhead might not sound that dramatic. But if you think of 1.5 million budget, that's 45,000 redirected straight to the programs. And I think that this one is one of the quickest wins I'd recommend starting with, because the ROI is visible almost immediately here. All right, so we talked about why. Let's move into the how. So each scenario is something you could realistically pilot within 30 days. I've mapped them to ROI, to the KPIs I've just showed you, so you can see exactly which metrics they move. As we go through these, I'd encourage you to think about which one would make the biggest difference for your team right now. Because each of those, for instance, if we just look at the fundraising scenarios, it addresses different pain point that we hear over and over. So grant writing is obvious one. Most teams spend weeks researching funders and crafting proposals. With AI, you can cut that discovery and drafting phase dramatically, and the quality actually improves because you're pulling from a broader data. Then the grant tracking is a glamorous one, but critical follow-up, right? So instead of managing compliance in the scattered spreadsheets or files, you get automated dashboards that keep everyone aligned. Donor pipeline management is equally important, is where the things get really interesting, because imagine having an AI agent that actually monitors giving patterns, flags at risk donors before they lapse, drafts personalized re-engagement messages. And then when you're ready to launch a new program, AI helps from moving the idea to implementation roadmap. And moving to additional Copilot scenarios. So optimizing program performance is about turning your data into decisions. It's not just generating reports that sit in a folder, but it's actually surfacing the insight that says, hey, maybe this community is underserved, or this intervention isn't working as expected. Staff and volunteer planning is also one I would like to highlight for any organization that is growing. AI can forecast where your gaps will be in the next quarter, so that you are recruiting proactively instead of scrambling reactively. Onboarding is another hidden time sink. So with AI generating tailored onboarding materials and the tracking programs, you get people productive faster. And also on the marketing side, there are plenty of use case scenarios, but I've seen small communications team punch way above their weight by using AI to draft the newsletters, to analyze what resonates with donors, and repurpose content across the channels. Moving to customer cases, so everything I shared so far might sound promising in theory, but you may be thinking, does this actually work in practice? So I'll share a couple of customer cases, like a Goodwill of Orange County. They automated program operations, and what literally took weeks, it now takes minutes, and that's not an efficiency improvement. That's a complete transformation of the processes and how they operate. Operation Smile is also a powerful example of AI breaking down language barriers. There are like 90% fewer translation errors, means more accurate care for the children around the world. And 95% faster reports means that their medical team spends less time on the paperwork. Then Children International saving 2,000 hours a month. And the British Heart Foundation story, it's also not about speed, it's about inclusion. AI here is helping neurodivers and non-native English speakers contribute more fully. These next stories focus on the frontline and the community-facing organizations. Head Start Home saw a 30% productivity boost, which in their context means more family getting support faster. Then the Team Rubicon is it's really fascinating, because they coordinate 150,000 disaster response volunteers. So imagine the complexity of matching the right people to the right crisis at the right time. I think it's enormous. And AI here is helping them to do that in depth that was not possible when they were doing it manually. Then the community rebuilders, that's a great example for everyone concerned about data privacy. So they deployed an enterprise AI while staying fully compliant, proving that you don't have to choose between innovation and security. And the last one, Arapaho libraries, shows that AI is not just for big organizations. So their team uses AI as a knowledge backbone, making the institutional expertise accessible to everyone rather than locked in the few people's heads. You heard me mentioning agents. Can you please give a thumb up if you know what agents are or if you already use them? Wow, amazing. Good. Nice to see so many hands. So you pretty much know what agents are, but yeah, let me explain for those that doesn't know what that means in practice. So if we are to compare Copilot chat and agents, think of the Copilot as your personal assistant. So you ask it a question and it gives you an answer. Now, the quality of the answer, it depends on the quality of the question. So you already learned that. An agent, on the other hand, is more like hiring a specialist for a specific job. So you set it up once with the right knowledge and the triggers, and it works on its own. So you don't need a technical background to build them. In nonprofit world, it could process like intake forms or route volunteer applications or flag grant deadlines, for instance. And I like to think of agent capabilities as a maturity curve. You don't have to start at the advanced end. In fact, I would recommend you don't. So start with building an agent that answers, for instance, answers frequently asked questions from your policies, handbooks, or program guides. That alone can save hours of back and forth every week. And once you are comfortable, then you can move to task agent that actually takes action. We have autonomous agents as well. They're a frontier. They can plan multi-step workflows, coordinate with other agents, escalate to a human when it's needed. This is still in a preview. Some capabilities are available, but still in preview. And it gives you a sense of where this is heading. So the key message, it's quite simple. So learn what works best for you and then scale from there. There are two paths to getting agents working for you. So the first one is easiest, pre-built templates. And these are ready to go out of box for things that I believe that have agents already using, like the meeting preparation, summarizing long email threads, or drafting the documents. You just turn them on. The second path is building your own agent, which is not difficult, because agent builder tools are designed for business users, not for developers. And if you currently don't use or struggle with the Copilot, step one is picking the specific high volume task to start with. Don't try to transform everything at once. Grant drafting, donor stewardship could be popular points because the time savings are immediately visible. Step two is turning, it's running a focused pilot. You could select 5 to 15 users, for instance, 30 to 60 days, and across few different departments, and track what changes, measure the results, and use that evidence to build the case for broader adoption within the organization. Copilot Cowork, that's the newest piece of the puzzle. It's something completely different. It solves a problem I think all organizations know well. So our work lives in a dozen different places, and you may have donor information in one system, program notes in some other, meeting follow-ups scattered across email, chat. Cowork is designed to work across all of that. And with that, I'm handing over to Adam. He will go and walk you through Copilot in more depth.
Amazing. Thank you, Katerina. Hopefully everyone really enjoyed that as a really good overview of the Microsoft Elevate team and where Copilot has started and where it's going and what we're doing with it. And those fantastic use cases of how it's being used in charities today is really great to see, because it's not just a tool that it's been out there now for a few years, and those use cases are really helpful, hopefully for you to understand where we are. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction into myself and Qlic IT. So as I mentioned before, my name is Adam Graham, and we are Qlic IT for Charities. And we're genuinely passionate about helping charities and not-for-profit organisations get the most out of their technology. We've been doing this for over 20 years now, and in that time, we've built up a deep understanding of the unique challenges that organisations in the charity sector face. From limited budgets and small teams to the constant pressure to demonstrate impact and transparency. In over 20 years, we have gone from a small outfit with a big vision to provide enterprise quality IT support to charities at a price that they could actually afford. Over the years, we've grown into one of the UK's largest managed service providers for the charity sector, and we support more than 350 organisations right across the UK. That includes charities of all sizes, small local groups through to large national organisations with complex needs. What we're most proud of is that our growth has been built almost entirely on trust and word of mouth, and our clients stay with us because we treat their mission as our own. We really want to help you, help us. That's enough about us. So as Katerina said, I'm going to talk about agentic AI and Copilot co-work. So let's introduce a concept that you're going to start hearing a lot more about, which is agentic AI. This really is the next evolution of everything we've been discussing. Up until now, most AI tools have been reactive. You ask a question, you get an answer. You give a prompt, you get an output. It's useful, but it's essentially a one-way interaction where you do all of the thinking about what needs to happen next. Agentic AI changes that model fundamentally. Instead of responding to a single prompt, you can take a goal or an outcome, something broad like prepare a monthly impact report, and begin working towards it independently. It breaks down the task into multiple steps and makes decisions along the way and asks you about how to proceed. It progresses the work without needing constant input from you. And crucially, it's still working within the boundaries that you define. It's not going rogue. It's following rules and permissions that you've set. And within those boundaries, it has the autonomy to figure out the best way to get the job done. To use a practical example, if you did say prepare a monthly impact report, an agentic system would gather the relevant data from your files, teams, your emails, and summarize the key insights, draft the content into appropriate format, and flag anything that's missing or needs your attention. There's not one task, it's an entire workflow handled for you. Key difference here is that agentic AI reduces the need for you to manage every single step of the process. Think about how much of your day is spent coordinating rather than actual productive work. Putting information together from different systems, checking what's been done and what hasn't, following up with people, formatting outputs, and tracking deadlines. A lot of that isn't the work itself, it's the overhead around the work. So agentic AI can start to take on that coordination layer. So instead of saving a few minutes on individual tasks, it helps reduce the overall workload and the mental effort getting something from start to finish. So a significant shift means people can spend less time on process management and more time on things that actually require human judgment, creativity, relationship building, all those amazing things. From a practical point of view, this is where things start to get really interesting. Think about the tasks in your organization that feel fragmented or repetitive, where someone has to keep jumping between systems, chasing information, or doing the same process manually every week or every month. That's where agentic AI can make a real difference. It's less about replacing people and more about freeing them up to focus on higher value work. So we're still in the early stages of this shift, but the technology is moving fast. Organizations that start exploring it now, or as soon as it's released, which is very soon, even in small ways, will be much better positioned as it matures. So Copilot Co-work is Microsoft's implementation of everything I just mentioned, built directly into the tools you use every day. Co-work sits inside Microsoft 365 and has access to your data, your emails, your documents, your team's conversations, your calendar. And that's what makes it so powerful. It's not a separate tool that you need to learn or feed information into, it already understands the context of your role and your work. So rather than saying, write this email for me, you might say something like, prepare an update for our stakeholders based on this month's activity. And Copilot starts working through the steps needed to make that happen. It gathers information from across your Microsoft 365 environment, drafts the content, and suggests new actions. Brand new and represents a genuine step change in how AI integrates with your working day. So why does that matter for you specifically? Because Cowork isn't just another AI tool. It's embedded in the platform most of you are already using. There's no new system to adopt, no data migration, no steep learning curve. If your organization is on Microsoft 365, it's designed to slot straight into how you work. Outlook, Teams, Word, Excel, SharePoint. Because it has access to your data, it can do things a generic AI tool simply can't. It knows who sent that email, what's in your shared documents, what was discussed in a Teams meeting. That context is what turns it from a clever chatbot into a genuine collaborator. So for charities and not-for-profits, where budgets are tight and teams are stretched, having that AI working within your existing setup rather than requiring a new infrastructure is a huge advantage. So I'd encourage you to think about, as we go through the rest of the session, where are the tasks your organization involve putting together information from multiple places across Microsoft 365, maybe meeting notes, maybe Teams messages, maybe emails, reports that need data from all of these areas, spreadsheets, Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, everything that requires chasing several people. Those are exactly the workflows that Cowork is designed to support. And the organizations that will benefit are the ones that most start identifying the pain points now. So this really gets into the heart of what's changed with Copilot Cowork. Traditionally, AI has been prompt-based. You give it one instruction, you get one output. That's been the model for the last couple of years. So whether it's generating text, summarizing a document, or answering a question, Cowork introduces what Microsoft calls an execution layer. As a technical term, but in plain English, it means Copilot can now plan and carry out multi-step tasks on your behalf. So you describe the outcome you want, not the individual steps, but the end result. Copilot then creates a plan of action, breaks it down into smaller tasks, and starts to execute them across the tools you already use, your Outlook, your Teams, Excel, Word, and so on. And it can keep work progressing over time. So if something takes a while, like gathering responses from multiple people, it doesn't just stop, it keeps track and moves things forward as the information comes in. So in practical terms, it's a significant change of how you interact with the technology. Instead of you being the project manager for every piece of work, constantly thinking about what the next step is, who needs to do what, and what's still outstanding, you're setting the direction and letting the system do the execution work. So it's particularly valuable in busy environments. Think about teams where people are juggling multiple projects, dealing with constant interruptions, having to keep on top of admin alongside their core work. Having that AI can pick up on some of the coordination and removes that real burden. More consistency. So when a process is supported by AI, it's less likely steps will get missed or things get done differently every time. And that's important for quality and compliance. So instead of pulling together monthly reports and all of the information, meeting follow-ups and project updates, you simply define the outcome you need and have the groundwork done for you. And that's the direction we're heading in. It's already starting to become possible. So how does it actually work behind the scenes? Copilot Cowork is powered by something called Microsoft Works IQ. And what that means in simple terms is that Copilot connects to the tools in your data you already use. So that's your emails in Outlook, your meetings, your chats, your files. It uses all of that context to understand your work and not just individual documents, but the relationships between them. So it's looking at names, it's looking at organizations, who's working on what decisions have been made, what's still outstanding. And it can run the task in the background. So you ask the question, and while you're getting on with other work, Copilot will be compiling a report, tracking down information, providing a summary, preparing it for you. Checks in with you when it needs input, will ask you to make a decision, gives you a variety of options for those decisions, and then it gets on with it. This is what makes it feel really different. Most AI products work in isolation. Pay something in, you get something out, but it has no awareness of your wider working. When it's embedded into your environment like this, it really isn't guessing anymore. It's giving you that real information to produce relevant, accurate inputs and outputs. Less time explaining context, less time correcting errors, and more time getting results from the start. You don't have to spoon feed it all of that content. Because it can work in the background, it doesn't simply interrupt your flow. You set something going, come back to it later. The quality of what Copilot can do is directly tied to the quality of your data, though, and how well your environment is set up. If your files are scattered across personal drives, if permissions are inconsistent or your SharePoint is a mess, then the outputs won't be as good as they could be. But this isn't about just adopting AI, it's about making sure your foundations are solid. You've probably heard this before with AI, but things like file organization, naming conventions, permissions, and data governance all matter more than ever. The good news is that getting those basics right, whether you use AI or not, is really important. It's worth having that conversation internally. Are we set up to make the most of tools like this? And if not, what do we need to tidy up first? That's somewhere we can help, or people like us can help as well. So let's have a quick look at how it could impact day-to-day roles and specific roles within the teams for a charity. So for fundraising teams, imagine being able to generate campaign updates automatically by pulling data from previous emails, reports, and donor records. Instead of spending half a day compiling all that information, you can have a first draft ready in minutes. You also draft personalized donor communications and follow-ups much more quickly, which means better stewardship without the time cost. For operations service delivery teams, think about time spent creating reports that pull data from different locations or services. Copilot can help bring that together. It can track actions from internal meetings and make sure follow-ups actually happen. It's one of the biggest productivity gaps that we see in organizations. For your leadership and management teams, it's about preparation, board reports, strategic summaries, stakeholder updates. These often require pulling information from across the entire organization. Having AI that can gather, synthesize, and draft that content is a huge time saver. And for communications and marketing teams, it's about repurposing, taking an internal report and turning it into social media posts, website content, or a newsletter, while keeping the messaging consistent and on brand. Across all of these examples, the common theme is time and consistency. Charities are often stretched thin. People are wearing multiple hats, budgets are tight, there's always more work out there that can be done, but not enough hours in the day. So any tool that can reduce that manual effort, close those gaps, and improve visibility across the organization is hugely valuable. It's also worth noting this isn't about replacing people. It's about augmenting the work people are already doing and giving them better tools so they can focus on the things that really need a human touch, building relationships, making decisions, delivering services. Think about your own role, your team's roles. Where are people spending the most time on repetitive or admin-heavy coordination focused work? Make a note of those areas because that's the starting point for exploring what co-work can do. You don't need to transform everything overnight. Even one or two small workflows can make a huge difference. So like I mentioned before, adopting something like co-work, there are a few key areas worth thinking about. And getting those right will make a big difference to how much value you can get out of the tool. Your data and your digital environment. Copilot relies on clean, well-organized and accessible data. If your files are all over the place, then Copilot is going to struggle to find what it needs. Think about your SharePoint structure, your OneDrive usage, your email, your file naming, and how your permissions and governance are set up. Copilot is going to look at your existing Microsoft 365 security settings, which is a great thing because it means you won't have access and show someone data they shouldn't have access to. But it also means you need to review your permissions and make sure the right people have access to the right information. If your permissions are too restrictive, Copilot won't be able to help. If they're too loose, you might surface information that isn't intended for everyone. You need to have clear use cases. Don't try and apply AI to everything. Start with some practical, well-defined scenarios. Things like meeting summaries, monthly reports, administrative follow-up, that kind of stuff. Focus on areas where the time savings are most obvious and the risk is low. Training and adoption is probably the most overlooked area as well. Even the best tools fail if people don't know how to use them or don't feel confident. They help your staff understand how to delegate tasks to AI effectively and encourage a shift from mindset from doing everything myself to directing work and reviewing outputs. Without these foundations, even the most powerful tools won't deliver their full value. So we see this all the time. Organizations invest in great technology and struggle with adoption. The groundwork wasn't done. People aren't confident using the tools or don't know where it fits in with their workflow, or the data is so disorganized that the AI outputs aren't helpful. Getting the basics right isn't glamorous, but but it's what separates the organizations that see the real returns, like Katerina was talking about, and those that don't. The good news is that all of these steps benefit your organization, regardless of whether you end up using AI or not. Start small and build from there. You have a couple of practical scenarios, get those working well, and build confidence within the team, and gradually expand to more complex use cases. Just try things out as well. Ask yourself, is our data organized? Are our permissions up to date? Do our people feel supported? And if you're not sure where you stand, that's something we can help with, as I said. So we offer assessments and consultations specifically designed to help charities get the most out of the technology. So I just want to bring it to life with some specific examples of how the agentic workflows could look in a charity. So for fundraising teams, you're telling Copilot to prepare the week's donor update. You'll pull insights from your recent emails, any data exports from your CRM system if it's connected, and from past campaign data. And then it can then draft personalized donor communications in Outlook, schedule follow-ups and reminders automatically, and provides quick performance summary that's ready to share with your manager or your board or your trustees. And that entire workflow, which might take someone half a day or a day to produce, could be done and ready for someone just to review and approve. Much easier process. Talked about leadership, board reporting. Create this month's board report is a great prompt, and it will go and gather information from the Teams meetings you had, the emails you put together, all of the relevant data in your SharePoint, your Excel documents, a draft in a structured report in PowerPoint maybe, highlighting key risks, trends, and actions for review. Instead of spending hours compiling the information, you're spending a couple of hours reviewing it, refining it. For service delivery and casework, you could summarize a case, track actions and deadlines across Teams and Planner, and flag anything overdue, prepare clear summaries for handovers and reporting. That's hugely valuable in organizations where cases are complex and continuity matters. And marketing communications. So it's about taking internal content, like a project report or an impact summary, turning that into a social media post, website content, email campaigns, keeping that tone consistent, suggesting improvements based on previous engagement, click-through rates, and things like that. They can even schedule or prepare content for publishing. So against all of these examples, it's all about reducing the manual effort and improving consistency. Huge amount of time that we all spend stitching work together, copying information from systems, looking on Teams, looking on Outlook, looking in your files, chasing updates, and making sure that nothing falls through the cracks. This agentic workflow can help streamline that and connect the steps from a single individual processes to one supported process. So fewer errors, less duplication, and less reliance on one individual remembering every step in the process. And all of that means better institutional knowledge because the work is tracked and documented as it progresses. For charities specifically, where staff turnover can be high and knowledge loss is a huge risk, having these workflows supported by AI adds a huge layer of resilience to your operations. Now, again, we don't want to try everything at once, so you want to test this on specific use cases, build confidence, and refine processes. We want to start with some real practical value without overwhelming people. So as I mentioned at the start, we were hoping Copilot Cowork would be live today for general availability. We've seen that being pushed back from the start of May to potentially the start or mid-June. But let's take a quick look at the licensing and what's available out there at the moment and what we're looking to see. So there's Microsoft Copilot Chat. So that's the free with a Microsoft account. It's available on Edge, Teams, and on mobile. It's great for quick answers, summaries, brainstorming, general productivity. There's no cost to that, and it gives you a good feel for what AI can do, and it's a great place to start. So Microsoft 365 Copilot is where co-work features are going to be sitting. There's the paid license, so £24 for a business, £20, $58 for a charity. That's the full experience. It works inside your applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Includes your Copilot agents that Katerina touched on that can be customized for daily work and shared with other Copilot users as well. And then there's Copilot Studio, which is a huge, more advanced platform for building custom Copilots and automated workflows. And it starts on a bundle for a number of messages per month and a pay-as-you-go kind of pricing. And this is where you want to go if you want to connect Copilot to external systems like CRMs, finance tools, or databases. It's really powerful, but it's typically more relevant for larger organizations or those with a real specific integration needs. So for many charities, starting out with the free version gives you that immediate value without any financial commitment. But again, it's been around for a while. So for deeper integration, really Microsoft 365 Copilot is the place where everyone is looking to be, and where we're using Microsoft Co-work. So try Copilot Chat, get your team used to it, and identify some key users or some key people in the organization that could benefit from a full Microsoft 365 Copilot license, where that can make the biggest difference. And then you can always expand later on as your confidence and your use cases grow. And if you want to help figuring out the exact right approach for your organization, that's exactly the sort of conversation we're here for.